crore rupees from Singapore companies over the next few years. Prime Minister Narendra Modi invited the Singaporean business leaders to look at investment opportunities in Bharat in sectors like aviation, energy and skill development. Now, Bharat has also overtaken China in the MSCI EM Investable Market Index, or the IMI, on September 4th to become the largest weight, and is now nearing the threshold to surpass China as the top weight in the broader MSCI Emerging Markets Index as well. Bharat's average household expenditure on food has also fallen to less than half for the first time since 1947, according to a recent working paper by the Economic Advisory Council to the Prime Minister. While speaking about the impact of recent developments and launches in the fintech and the digital payment ecosystem in Bharat, Amazon Pay India CEO Vikas Bansal said UPI is revolutionizing credit growth. On this Friday edition of The Right Stand, our top focus with respect to stories: is it a war-like situation in Manipur? From drones now to rockets, long-range rockets have now been fired. We also get you exclusive inputs on the Manipur violence and whether or not there is a foreign hand weaponizing the state and some insurgents within the state. Exclusive inputs here on the show. Havoc on Hindus continues in Manipur, in Bangladesh. Muhammad Yunus remains in denial as the community makes a fervent appeal in the neighboring state. Save us. And how Swachh Bharat has helped avert 60,000 plus infant deaths per year as per experts. One of the biggest achievements of the Modi Sarkar over the last decade. We take a closer look at the study this evening on The Right Stand. But first up, story number one, Manipur and what's happening. We have continuously said that there is somebody or some entities who are weaponizing Manipur. There can be ethnic strife, but how are certain insurgents and certain elements in the state actually getting the kind of equipment and that is surprising many? From drones to rockets now. Have a look at these visuals. After dropping bombs using drones, suspected Kuki insurgents are firing long-range rockets at former Chief Minister's residence near the INA Museum in Moirang. Manipur's first Chief Minister, Marambam Koireng Singh, was struck. An elderly priest was reportedly killed. Now we are getting visuals released by the Meiteis on how the Kukis have unleashed these rockets in Manipur. Now this is within Bharat in Manipur, and suddenly this strife seems to be escalating. And some of the information that we'll share this evening here on The Right Stand, ladies and gentlemen, will compel you to go back and consider what the ousted Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Sheikh Hasina, had said not so long ago. Now, amid drone attacks by the Kukis in Manipur, CNN News 18 has also learned that the Kukis have sought foreign help in carving out a separate state for them, making matters further serious, according to intelligence sources. A separate memorandum has been issued to the United Nations, the UK and Israel, and this is almost a year ago, in June 2023, by the World Kuki-Zo Intellectual Council. Intel sources have said that the hidden agenda of the Kukis is a dangerous one, with their possible alliance with world bodies to carve out first a separate state and thereafter somewhere work towards a separate nation. Now, according to details available, the Council submitted 3 memorandums to the UK, the United Nations and also to Israel for special intervention to meet their demands of a separate state from the hilly areas. This, they said, was their right of self-governance under Article 3 of the Indian Constitution. But on the 1st of September, the Kukis then used an ambulance as a cover. And this is more news. The Kukis then used the ambulance as a cover to infiltrate Meitei village in Manipur under the guise or garb of essential emergency services. These Kuki militants then killed a 31-year-old woman, injured 10 others in Kotruk, Imphal West district by dropping bombs from drones and also firing from inside the ambulance and then running away. Now, CNN News 18 has come across a video purportedly released by the Kuki attackers. Now, these are all of them celebrating what they have done inside what is clearly a medical van and ambulance, thus confirming CNN News 18's story. Now, the celebratory video shot inside the ambulance calls the militants involved the heroes of today's attack. We have deliberately muted the audio because there are a lot of this is unconfirmed video and there is a lot of vitriol that's been spewed. So we've muted the audio, we're playing out this video. This is what is the claim. This is purportedly released by the Kukis themselves. after celebrating the attack on the Meitei community. They are our pride, our brave youth, is what has been heard saying, reportedly. This is the Lemkhong Area Protection Committee coming back after their attack in Kotruk. This is our tiger company which is eating because they are hungry. So they are going out on preying on Meiteis. That's the inference. They are still inside the ambulance and it's too dark outside. They are still working so hard. This is how we Kukis are living and surviving, the same way we celebrate after the attack. Long live our youth. This is what the audio of this video purportedly says, along with certain aspects which are not mentionable on a national channel. Now, we'll also show you the memo by the Kukis to Israel for special intervention to meet their demands of a separate state from hilly areas. They said that this was their right of self-governance under Article 3 of the Bharatiya Constitution. Now, this is that memo. That's the video. Along with this, there is also this entire lineage narrative that they have been pushing. They sent across a false memorandum or a false to the president. A day after this attack, to the president of Bharat, they sent across a false memorandum with a false narrative. So playing the predator and also the preyed at the same time. So this double gaming of the narrative is also something which is a concern. B.L. Vora, former DGP Manipur with us, Dr. Ankita Datta, researcher and columnist with us, Maruf Raza, defense analyst with us. Let's go straight across to them. Namaste, Jai Hind, thank you for your time. B.L. Vora ji, we spoke with you the other day. Now, how do you see this sudden escalation that is happening, the weaponizing, the kind of weapon systems and the kind of warfare methodology? It only shows that these are all highly trained cadre.
It's a dangerous development, Anand. It's a challenge to the Indian state, straight away. And I think that Indian state must strike back with its full might. I think we have been dealing with them with kid gloves. Now these people, see, let us look at the scenario. They have no dearth of money. Let's first talk of money. Thousands of weapons, as you know, were looted by them. In fact, were handed over also by Incanus with many. So these weapons can be sold in the market and tons of money can come in. The drug lords. Drug lords are the one who are financing the whole thing. Drug lords, because Manipur is at the tip of the golden triangle. It's not today, it has been there always. But earlier the cultivation was not there in Manipur. But now, after the military junta in Myanmar, it tried to break the bone of those insurgents there. So many of them have walked over to Chandpur, their kith and kin, from the Chin people. And they were challenged because they were challenged by the Manipur government because, their count was being taken. So the drug lords got alarmed and so they are financing. Then we have China, Pakistan, Bangladesh. They are the ones. They're all anti-India. So they are also they are fishing actually, if you ask me, in the troubled waters. So if you put all this together, there's so much of money involved. And with this money, you can buy anything. Training the people, getting drones, it's not easy. And now the way you are mentioning, memorandum to the other countries, memorandum to the President of India, all this. And I think the weakness of the Indian state, having not taken it seriously, is also a contributory factor to the situation which has been allowed to drift, and it has become so bad today that handling it will be difficult, of course not impossible. Now let us see what should be done. Anti-drone technology is available with the Indian Army. It's available with the Assam Rifles. It's available with the Air Force. The local police will not have it. They'll need help. First, of course, in deployment, these forces will have to do it. And then, of course, later on, the local police can be trained and did. And now these rockets, as you mentioned today. In fact, I am rather surprised. And they are trying to give us a spectre like, what we are having in Ukraine and all that, or in Hamas and all that. And so many people the deep states elsewhere, they will jump at this gun and they'll try to destabilize it. The Northeast, and Northeast traditionally has been neglected by the Indian
Right.
state, you know it. And I think this has continued, and Manipur has been allowed to go on the boil. I must say honestly that political decision making has been very poor. I think they haven't done it. They should have done it. Chief Minister should have been removed. I am saying so with very responsibly. I have been Home Secretary also there in Manipur. And diplomatically, we should be there. Neutral officers must be posted there because insiders, many of them have taken sides. And maybe the president's rule should be there, I think, for at least 1 or 2 years. Priority should be to handle this position and it should not be allowed to further escalate.
Right.
I think it's very, very important, Anand.
Jay. Sir, please stay on with us. We've got Dr. Ankita Datta and Maruf Raza also with us. Now, there is an ethnic aspect to it, and that's a narrative. While there was a memorandum sent to Benjamin Netanyahu, the then Prime Minister of Israel, back in 2023, there are Israeli-made drones. There are drones that have been identified as Israeli-made drones. But there is not just a weapon system connection or a material connection here. There is also this ethnic narrative that's being drawn from about 722 BC that's been drawn, Ankita Dattaji, where they are not only pushing out a map, they are saying that this is all Kuki-Chin region. So perhaps even giving some amount of credibility to what Sheikh Hasina said, that there is an element or a deep state, or there are forces which are trying to carve out a separate Christian state in this entire region. Like East Timor, a similar situation where there are portions of the Kuki-Chin region in Myanmar, there is portion of Manipur, Mizoram, and also Chittagong of Bangladesh. And they've actually released this kind of propaganda saying this is all the Kuki region, Kuki country, and they said pseudo merger with Manipur or with Meitei community when they talk about into Indian Union in 1949. So that's the kind of narrative that's being spun. Dr. Ankita Datta.
Right, absolutely. So yes, namaste everyone. What you have just mentioned, Anandji, is about the crisis that is going on in Bangladesh, and in that context, we need to understand their demand for a separate Kuki land. So I'll directly come to your question. So the recent Bangladesh crisis, we should understand it can easily lead to the rise of an Islamist regime there, which will naturally see an increase in the powers of Islamic fundamentalist groups like the Sharqiya group, that is the Jamaatul Ansar, which is working hand in gloves with the KCNF. The KCNF is the Kuki-Chin National Front, based in the Chittagong Hills in terms of finances and training. So they are inter-network. So obviously an Islamic Bangladesh will lend them more support, their bases and their activities in Bangladeshi territory. And this might and this is going to happen sooner or later. It will see greater involvement of Mizoram, because the government of Mizoram has been working deep down, it has been working continuously to create this unique, homogeneous Kuki-Chin Mizo identity for establishing a separate Christian Kuki nation. And exactly for this reason, it has been allowing these illegal Kuki immigrants from Myanmar, particularly the militants of the KCNF, the Kuki-Chin National Front from Bangladesh, to settle in the territory of Mizoram. So it is quite possible that these militants who are infiltrating into Mizoram and settling there, especially with the newfound patronage from the government of Bangladesh, it is quite possible that they might fuel further disturbances in the region, in the entire Northeast. We just cannot rule out that possibility. Also, see, we should understand that there is a significant section of Meitei and Vishnupriya Hindu Manipuri population in Bangladesh.
Right.
They have not yet been affected by this crisis, but as we see, the way in which things are unfolding and the experiences of the Chakmas, the Tripuras, Marmas and other tribes in Bangladesh. So these Meiteis and the Vishnupriyas, they will be affected too, sooner than later. And when they will be affected, there will be no one to help them. So their population is just a few thousand in Bangladesh, so that few thousand population of Meitei and Vishnupriya Manipuris being displaced either in the medium or long term is very much possible. Also, there is a common factor between whatever is happening in Bangladesh right now and the scenario in Manipur. The role of the deep state, as you mentioned, the CIA in particular, the CIA in orchestrating the regime, in orchestrating the change of regime in Bangladesh, and as well as the violence in Manipur. So it is very much possible that we might see a possible change in the map of Kuki land. So in such a scenario, it might exclude the areas of Bangladesh as well and include mainly Myanmar and the Northeast. So there might be some accommodative changes in their map of imaginary Kuki land to maintain a united strategic front at this time.
Right.
Regarding solutions, I would just like to mention one point. Regarding solutions, most importantly, the government of India must immediately abrogate the SU, that is the Suspension of Operations Pact, with all the Kuki militants because they are freely moving with arms today. They are responsible for inflicting violence upon hapless citizens of this country. Also, full-scale military operations need to be conducted in the hills of Manipur, cutting off all the escape routes.
Right. Now, I've just got this before as I go across to Maruf Raza. I'm just going to walk across to our viewers and show you what we've accessed here. So this is the entire memorandum that was sent to Benjamin Netanyahu. So this became very interesting here and questions were asked as to why, and it just becomes seeking urgent intervention for protection of minority Kuki, Manmasi, Manaseh people on humanitarian ground. Now, Dr. Ankita Datta, if you can quickly just also explain, this is the Jewish connection that they're drawing. And this is from about a 2,000-year-old story, which they have said that they were actually sent to this part of the world at that time as prisoners. And they have survived here in this region. And that's why there is a Jewish connection to it.
No, this is completely a false propaganda. There is nothing like nothing as such like Jewish connection. There are several Kuki scholars and so-called academics who have even cited false DNA tests that never happened actually to further confirm that these Kukis, they have their ancestry with Israel. Their historical claims with Israel are not corroborated by any literary or archaeological evidence till date. No historical record of their mass migration due to religious persecution, as they claim. Nothing of that sort has been found till date. So even anthropologists say that as a result of intermingling with the locals of Northeast India, even their DNA is not pure enough at present to establish their roots now. So doubts have been continuously raised from time to time over the authenticity of this Jewish origin theory. Several sections. Yeah.
So this is one narrative. Let's look at the next narrative. I'm just going to check if we can get to the next picture here. Right. I'm just going to check where I can find the next picture. There is the other image that I wanted to check. I'll just get it on here. Let's just check. I'm just going to check on that. But Maruf Raza, as we open up the other country, the map that they're talking about, how did this escape the notice of the center, sir? That there is such a big issue brewing.
Anand, there's a lot of things that escape the notice of the center. The problem is that our intelligence agencies are not able to react speedily to the first existing or the second existing challenge. By the time they get their act together, the next set of challenges come up. So these kind of challenges will keep coming up. And I'll tell you something that I'm familiar to some extent of the Kuki story, because 40 years ago when I was in the army and I served in Manipur, Mizoram, especially Churachandpur and that area, the Kukis were beginning to get together and create a sizable front against the Indian security forces. The second thing is that we must understand that this is a pipe dream a lot of tribes in the northeast live with, because they claim to have a connection with Israel, the Jewish theories of a larger nation state, and therefore the tribals often have many of their literature, holy literature documents, are also in the language that is spoken in Israel. And this has, I remember reading about it about 30, 40 years ago,
Right.
that this has led the Israelis and the Jews to grant them the option that they could be given right of residence or whatever in Israel. So there is a link there. Now, the pointed issue is that India is a multicultural, multifarious link of various historical narratives, and we cannot let every narrative take over the idea of India. The idea of India is a powerful one, and it must be reinforced by the government. Now, if the government of India goes little slow on this, this is how insurgencies go out of hand. They bloom, you go slow on it, you try and show sort of a humanitarian angle to it, and there it goes, bang, out of hand. So we are in a situation now, we need to put our foot down. I think the Home Ministry has got too many problems on its table. And I have written about it years ago after 26/11, that the Home Ministry should have two MOSs. One dealing with Pakistan-sponsored terrorism and what have you, and one dealing with internal insurgencies and what have you.
But Marufji,
it's-
I'm interrupting you here because one, it is ironical that the Abrahamic forces, as they are termed, who are at conflict worldwide and have been fighting crusades for nearly 2 millennia, are seem to be ganging up and helping each other here. There is a Judah connection, there is a Christian connection, and there is a Islamic connection here in this region, as Dr. Ankita Datta explained. But I also want to draw your attention to this. See, to the letter in June 2023, the Kukis demanded a separate state. But as per Dr. Grierson Abraham in 1984, who did a linguistic survey of India then under British rule, this is what the Kukis are actually demanding, and this is the narrative being pushed, that this is all actually Kuki country. Now, this Kuki country includes portions of Liam or Myanmar, there is portions of Bharat, there is portions of Bangladesh. So, this is the entire region. Now, if they start asking for this, Marufji, how will we counter this? Because it looks like that's the narrative being pushed, and that's exactly what Sheikh Hasina had hinted. That there are interests, Western interests, who want to create this kind of a separate Christian state in this region.
Anand, there are these vociferous tendencies that have been played up on by our neighbors and our adversaries. And we have to put our foot down and say, sorry, none of this will do. You've got what you've got. And if you can compromise and fall in line with it, good for you. If you don't, we will kick you into submission. You can't be polite with all these kind of narratives. You have to be tough, and anything that threatens the idea of the Indian state must be dealt with very severely. That's my view. I've always held that view in my writings and in my comments. As far as the Jewish angle is concerned, you see, Israel would be very foolish to try and spread its net as far away as Mizoram when it can barely cope with its own borders. And India could do well to provide Israel the necessary intelligence inputs, and if need be, ask for some of their counter-terrorism forces to be able to come and assist our own CIOps forces in those areas. Because none of this is going to happen overnight. None of this can be done very easily. But you can handle it if you are a determined man at the top and you don't have other interests. Your interests are primarily the security of India, as the Home Ministry
But here is
has been empowered.
here is the other challenge. The numbers show, BL Voraji, that the budget for Manipur is 35,000 crore, government budget. But the drug economy is 60,000 crore. They are very, very heavily funded because the poppy cultivation is happening in the hills that's dominated by the Kukis. They have free passage into Myanmar, which again gives them access into that Golden Triangle region. There are Chinese businessmen, there are drug cartels, they're all operating there. Some even allege that there are pharma labs there, big pharma which is present there, and there is money coming from everywhere. Plus, there is also weapons access, long range rockets, drones, sophisticated equipment. Some of these Kuki are also very heavily trained, whether in Myanmar, whether in Bharat itself, because they have been, they are ex-service persons. We don't know, but these are all estimations being made. Amidst all of this, can we really counter and put a lid on all of this?
A few points, Anand, before that.
Ji.
Everybody has been wanting a big pie of the Northeast. Bangladesh, Pakistan, if you know, when Pakistan was being created, for East Pakistan, they wanted the entire Northeast to be a part of East Pakistan at that time. And Sheikh Mujibur Rahman himself had said that this land belongs to us. It's a natural extension of East Pakistan at that time. So Bangladesh is not a lesser culprit. So Bangladesh is one, or Pakistan for that matter. Two is Nagaland. If you ask them, they have also been asking Nagaland, a bigger Nagaland, greater Nagaland they have been asking. They also want the whole of Nagaland. Now Kukis. See, let me tell you, as far as my knowledge goes, some Mizos have gone already to Israel as Jews, past Jews, and they have settled there. So I think there is some connection there, not a large number though. I don't think Israel is going to be really, frankly, affected by this so-called memorandum. Thousands of memorandums are issued every day to United Nations, everywhere, here and there. And I don't think we should give any importance. But I think this shows more the weakness of the central government, that we haven't handled it properly. Intelligence agencies have also failed. And if they have given reports, which normally, certainly they would have, though not as much as required, no action has been taken. See, for the last 1 year, we have allowed the situations to drift. 3rd May it happened. It's more than a year now.
Right.
So I think it is our weakness has contributed. So as I repeated earlier, as I mentioned earlier, it's time for President Rule 1 to deploy the entire might of the Indian state. 3, have neutral officers from outside in all, whether it's police or bureaucracy or everywhere.
Right.
And have some effective people at the top who will deliver the goods. I think everybody has contributed knowingly, unknowingly to the situation before it goes up the fan. And I don't think America, honestly, I'm not that I'm a big admirer of America, but I think America will not be involved in such a thing. But certainly China, yes, it suits its interest in a big way. Bangladesh and Pakistan also.
Well, there is the West and the American interest, given the adversarial position they have taken against the Chinese, that they want to have a base. The San Martin base was a big issue which Sheikh Hasina raised with respect to the white man. That's for
Bangladesh, but anyway, that's
no, but in this region, carving out a nook there also puts paid to the BRI objectives of the Chinese, which is to the advantage of the elements of the West. Now, and then the kind of forces which are operating there on the religious lines also get their funding from where we know the answers to that too. So at multiple levels, but the larger issue for us is going to be that it's not a 2-front conflict then. It's 3 fronts that then get opened up for the Indian state and the armed forces, defense forces.
Everybody is fishing in the troubled waters, let me tell you.
Yeah.
And I think it's a big wake-up call. And as Maroof said, even I had written an article some time back that there should be a separate Ministry of Internal Security in the country now. It should not be any longer a part of the Ministry of Home Affairs. Home has lot other things on its plate. They're so busy with that. Why MOS? Why not have a separate, exclusive Union Minister of Internal Security?
Internal security.
Who should look after all these
Right.
issues.
Right.
And India has a lot of, we have communal issues, we have drug issues, we have cyber crime, we have Northeast, we have Pakistan, we have J&K. God knows how much is on our plate.
Yeah. Plus, we've not
And
even spoken about the Maoism, the Maoist terror, the Red Terror. That's also another
problem is,
another big challenge.
Another problem, Anand, is Northeast is politically very weak. That's why nobody gives any importance. Manipur has just 2 MPs. Mizoram has 1 MP. Tripura has 2 MPs.
Right.
These guys have no political weight. Do you know, and I'm privy to it, Chief Minister of Manipur, once he came to Delhi, he could not meet the Home Minister and even the Home Secretary. Whereas Chief Minister UP sought an appointment, he was given an appointment the same day.
So in terms
at
of
the
priority,
Chief Minister of UP, but Chief Minister Manipur waited for 10 days for chair. He wasn't given an audience by the Home Minister.
So
I'm sorry saying this, but these are the facts.
no, true. I'm saying misplaced priorities. Somewhere our borders are left most bare. Frankly, a nation like Bharat, which is surrounded by inimical forces, we need to have our borders secured, and our borders are most bare. Nearly 8,000 kilometers, if not more, of unguarded, uncharted, and also unmarked territory. That's what we are actually looking at, if not more. Thank you very much, B.L. Voraji, Maruf Raza, and Ankita Datta will stay on with us. We're going to quickly shift focus from this region in the neighborhood only, but Bangladesh, where after reaching out to Hindus days after taking over, the head of Bangladesh interim government, Mohammad Yunus, is now questioning Bharat's concerns. The genocide of sorts is actually taking place, with nearly 50 districts reportedly out of 64 witnessing incidences of hate against Hindus witnessed on the streets. Now, like the Western media outlets, the head of Bangladesh government seems to be in complete denial, even as massive protests are being planned by Hindu groups in Bangladesh following reports that a Bengali Hindu boy, Utsab Mondal, who only stood up to certain Islamist elements on social media who are brazenly abusing the Hindu faith, was brutally beaten while in custody of the army and police there over claims